Hi, I'm Chris Group with Aesthetic Advisor, and this is one of the videos in our Skinteresting educational series. What we're going to be talking about today is nerve endings. Why? Because she's on my nerves, you're on my nerves. She has some nerve, or how about he is on my last nerve? Why are nerves important? Well, nerves are important because as we work on people's skin, we're going to be using hand pressure to see if we're pressing too hard or we're not pressing enough. We need to understand why our client is feeling cold and also heat. And we also need to understand how we can use certain nerve endings to better benefit our clients. So let's talk about what nerve endings come into play when we're working with lasers or even doing some type of skincare treatment. What we're going to talk about right now is Meissner corpuscles, Pacinian corpuscles, and also our nociceptors. So what is what? Well, when we talk about Meissner corpuscles, what we're talking about is using the very light feeling in our fingers to help us understand what's going on possibly in the skin. If you've ever noticed maybe a chiropractor feeling around in the back of somebody's neck, they just have their eyes closed. Well, the reason we close our eyes is to take out our sight and to just be able to use what our fingers feel like. If I were to take my glasses and put them in my hands, I knew what it is. It's a pair of glasses, okay? So you can try this at home, have somebody give you a random object, put it in your hands, feel it, and tell them what it actually is. Kind of a fun game. Why are Meissner corpuscles important when you're working on people's skin? Well, when I have a patient come in to see me, the first thing I do before I touch them, obviously, is wash your hands. But then I don't put my gloves on yet because if I'm working on their face, especially if it's a female, and she's complaining about maybe hair growth or maybe acne, what I want to do, because if you're going to be lasering somebody's face, especially a female, generally speaking, they've shaved the hair. If you have your gloves on, you can't have that sense of touch because the glove is going to be a barrier in between your fingers and their skin. So what I'll do is I'll feel around on their chin, because if they've shaved the hair, you're really not going to see it. But if you feel around, you're going to be able to feel the hairs and know if the hair growth that they have is a lot or a little, because maybe they have PCOS, which is polycystic ovary syndrome. That is going to be another video, so stay tuned for that one. Or maybe they have acne underneath the jawline that could indicate something in their diet, maybe gluten, maybe dairy. But it really gives you a good sense of what's going on with their skin. Before I do the treatment, I obviously am going to glove up, but for those couple of minutes, I want to feel around with my fingers and see what I can detect that will give them a better outcome on their treatment. What we also have are Pacinian corpuscles, and what that does is it feels pressure. So when you're working with a laser or an IPL device, you're usually pushing that into the skin. Well, how much pressure is too much pressure? Well, if they say ow, probably it's too much pressure, unless the pain from the laser is what's causing it. But you have to understand your hand pressure on different parts of the body. If you're on the back of somebody's leg, you can usually press harder into the skin. If you are on somebody's forehead or on the shin bone, you don't want to press as hard because, one, you don't have that adipose tissue underneath to absorb that pressure, but two, you'll probably slip right off, like on this shin bone. If you're pressing too hard, your handpiece will slide off. So you have to understand what your hand pressure should be for that body area on that particular client. And then we have our nociceptors. And by the way, NOCI is the Latin term for hurt. So your hurt receptors. And this is where you have your heat and your pain receptors. Why this is so important is when you are using a laser or an IPL device, I always use a pain scale of 1 to 10. 1 meaning they don't feel anything at all, 10 meaning, oh my gosh, make it stop. The reason I use that is because it helps me adjust my fluence, or how much energy is coming out of that handpiece. That is going to let me know if they're having too much pain, maybe my fluence is too high, or if they're not feeling anything, maybe my fluence is too low. Now, other things that can cause increased pain levels are if it's the week before or the week of a female's menstrual cycle, she's going to be more hormonal, and it's going to hurt more. Or possibly they've had sun exposure they haven't disclosed to you. So I like to use a scale of 1 to 10. Now, they're also going to feel cold if your handpiece is contact cooling, or if using cryogen cooling, or possibly a Zimmer. The cold is good. Okay, I want them to feel cold simply because the cold is what's protecting the epidermis as the heat is going into either the epidermis or dermis, wherever it's going to be located with your target. So when we talk about hand pressure, clients' pain levels, and also what's going on in their skin, we're really talking about the nerve endings in both our hands and our client's body. The reason for these videos are to help you understand better about your treatments, your clients, and the treatments that you're offering. So this is Chris Group, and I'm with Esthetic Advisor, and thank you for watching in our series.